Jennifer here from Belladonna's Botanicals, and today I want to talk about a topic that I've seen come up a lot lately, and this has to do with the magical versus the mundane. And what I mean by that, and I'm going to give a hefty disclaimer here, I am not a licensed medical professional or mental health professional. I am relaying my opinions based on personal experience. Now, I've seen a lot of questions come up, especially in the past few weeks in different areas on other channels and in chats and stuff like that. And some of this revolves around, especially if you're having a physical or mental health issue, the division between the magical and the mundane. Now, I am an energy healer. I practice Reiki. I'm a Reiki master. I am a, advanced crystal healer. I practice different types of magic and stuff. I am always going to say, excuse me, take care of yourself using the mundane first. If you need to be on psychiatric medication, take your damn meds. If you sprain your ankle, now if it's non-emergent, sure, you can do some energy work and healing stuff on it. If you break your ankle, go to the effing ER. Get it taken care of medically. All of these practices, even when you're looking at things that are more therapeutical, like I come from a background of aromatherapy and herbalism, and have multiple certifications in that. And I saw a lot of that in those fields too, is people want to, dive straight to the alternative medicine before exploring the, more traditional mundane things. Now, what all of these, and magic can be included in that too, is complementary alternative medicine. These things can add value and add healing to it, but if I fell down the stairs and broke my ankle, I'm going to call an ambulance and go to the ER and get my ankle fixed. I'm not going to try to, summon Archangel Raphael to fix my ankle, or I'm do some Reiki on my ankle, or pile a bunch of crystals around my ankle, or smear some essential oils on my ankle. I'm going to go to the fucking ER because that's what makes sense in that, because I don't know how my ankle broke, because I don't have x-ray vision or, an MRI or any of that in my house. I also want to make sure that, it hasn't done some internal damage that's not visible, because that's something that can happen. I worked, back in another lifetime, called the mid to late 1990s. I did work in hospitals and healthcare for 3 years, so saw some shit. And very unfortunate things can happen if left unattended or treated improperly. Things like sepsis, you can't tell that without, medical intervention, probably, unless, by the time your hand is, black and your fingers are falling off, from, necrotic flesh and things like that, a little late, gonna have a lot more problems. So what I'm saying here is, first, go with your, the traditional, and go with the traditional medical approach on things as it makes sense to you to do so. Believe me, I understand there are people who have problems with the modern medicine, health insurance, and pharmaceutical industrial complexes. I am one of them, but I'm still, if I break my ankle, I'm going to the doctor. I'm not going to Reiki it back together. So that's sort of the first one. If there's something that needs a medical intervention, do it. Worry about the magical stuff later, because you can Reiki out of your ankle after you're home and recuperating, to help it heal faster, to help relieve pain, to make yourself more comfortable. All that stuff is amazing for that and complementary. But, if you have to take pain meds, take your pain meds. If you have to, wear a cast, wear a cast. It's not going to be It's not going to, it's not going to hamper you in any way spiritually. And I would rather see someone heal in a healthy way than causing more problems. And that has happened. A lot of times when there's so many cases where people choose to, you know, and if they have cancer or something, they go this all natural, you know, homeopathic, you know, alternative medicine route, and they still end up in the ground. Or they could have not, if it was a treatable one, you know, if it was caught early, treatable and completely curable, still have ended up in the ground because, you know, they follow some guru's advice instead of, and don't listen to reason. You know, yeah, I wouldn't want to get, I mean, I wouldn't want to go through chemo and radiation and surgery and stuff like that. But, you know, if you know, if it was like okay, this will 100%, you know, cure you, you will be fine, I would do it. You know, if it was a 10% chance, you know, maybe I'd take my chances, you know, elsewhere or whatever. But, you know, there's a lot that I've seen and witnessed to in the wellness field, in the spiritual communities and things like that. I've made videos talking about this before. You know, do what feels best for you, but don't be a dumbass, to be blunt about it. Now, the other thing that I get a lot of questions, I see questions on, and I get a lot of questions on is regarding psychiatric medications and magical practices. Again, disclaimer, not a licensed medical health professional, and this is only based on opinion, but take your fucking meds. Anyways, will they impact your magical practice? It's hard to say. We all have very different physiologies. I'm coming from this. I've been on probably over 30 some different medications in my lifetime for psychiatric things. I have a very complicated metabolic system that I end up being an ultra rapid metabolizer for some medications and a poor metabolizer for others. Let's find out which one it hits. And I guarantee you, I will always get the 0.1% of people experience this problem. I've had chronic tinnitus from Lexapro. I've been off of Lexapro since October 2020. It is now March 2023. So 2.5 years, still got the ringing in my ears because I was on it for probably almost 10 years at that point. So yeah. I have had a very complicated history with medications and, you know, and psychiatric treatments. So for me, some of the more alternative things work better. Like I had good luck with getting the transcranial magnetic stimulation, which I had in early 2020, because I have treatment-resistant depression. Like I have not tried outside of Lexapro, and that had other issues for me, which are, you know, TLDR, but that was the only one that kind of worked. Most antidepressants don't work for me. So that's why I've also been doing the ketamine treatment. So for the advances in psychedelic medicine, that's something that I find works better for me personally than, and I know a lot of other people are having a lot of great results with it, than say taking, you know, my whatever antidepressant and calling it a day. However, if you're in the United States, the state of mental health care sucks ass. I pay out of pocket for all of my mental health care, with the exception of the few prescriptions I'm on. So I pay, you know, $140 every time I want to talk to my psychiatrist. I pay I think it's 140 or $140 for every therapy session. I pay out of pocket for my ketamine treatments, which luckily they do payment plans for, but that runs. They've switched it up, but that's going to run me probably about $200 out of pocket a month. So just to keep my crazy brain in place, but I at least can afford to do that. A lot of people can't. So, you know, it's, dude, I get it. Like, it sucks. Ugh. But how these medications can interact with your magical practice, it's going to wildly vary. Like, I didn't have any issues with anything when I was on Lexapro, when I was practicing magic, didn't hamper my ability to astral travel or meditate or any of those things. I've been on other medications since then. I have ADHD. Obviously, I've talked about that a lot. That helps. Like, believe it or not, ADHD helps me meditate better and stuff, because I can pay the fuck attention. There's a marked difference in between when I take it, on the days I don't. Because like a day like today, when I did not wake up until 2 p.m., seemed a little stupid to take Adderall at 2 p.m. Because I would then probably be up pretty late. Although I tend to sleep better on it. So I would not trust, if you're asking your an opinion from a magical practitioner and they tell you to stop taking your medications, that's a red flag, and I would not trust that person. It's not ethical of anyone to tell you to whether or not to take your medications in that sense, or to stop taking your medications, more importantly, because some of them, in my experience, some of them are to come off of. Like, I was on a very low dose of Abilify, like 2 milligrams, when I because yay, side effects. The Abilify was raising my diabetic A1C into pre-diabetic levels, so I had to come off of it in 2017. So I literally, like, when I stopped cold turkey, the digestive unpleasantness was rather unpleasant. I had to tighter down on it by 1/10 of a milligram at a time. So it actually took me from June to October of 2018, I think. I'm sorry, 2018, to cycle off of it. Xanax, I stopped taking, ended up in the ER because I was, wanted to unalive myself. And the room was spinning and I was nauseous for at least a week. So stopping your medications can have adverse effects. And this is something that should be done in tandem with your medical professionals, and not because you want to have a more magical experience, or you think it's going to impact your spiritual thing. It really won't. I mean, unless you're on some like heavy duty, old school, like antipsychotics, like Thorazine or something like that, you're really not going to have that much of a marked issue. And this is something I'm going to go into further in my accessibility magic series. I'm probably going to have someone on who is a medical professional and can talk about this from that level. But take your medications. Believe me, it will make you a much better practitioner in the end, because you need to take care of yourself. And there's a whole blurred line between psychosis and gnosis. So I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to, but yes, if you are prescribed medications and you need them for depression, anxiety, anything on those spectrums, take your medications, please. And work with your healthcare team to find what works best for you. And I mean, I've been on a revolving door of medications since like 1996, and there's been times I've been completely not on medications. There was a lot of times where I was over medicated. I prefer to like err on the less is more at this point in my life. But there's times when sometimes you just need the more to get through. I mean, I was in that last year, like last summer, I was on, the hell was it called? I forget. It was one of the newer atypical antipsychotics, but I was on that for a few months, and I slept really well, but it kind of kept me out of harm's way. I know if I am going into a dissociative phase or something like that, or triggered to a very, very, very elevated state, that I have some emergency Haldol in my drawer, and I'm like, well, if I have to sleep for 2 days to keep myself safe, I will do that. These are all prescribed by my psychiatrist that I've been working with for 11 years now. So that's, if you prescribe things, take them. Don't listen to anyone who tells you, oh, you could just solve it with magic, or you could just do this, or it'll make you a much better practitioner to stop taking your medications. Bullshit. I would not trust that person. That's very unethical of them to do that. And dangerous. Because yeah, like when I stopped taking my Xanax, as I mentioned, like it put me into like a sudden just blank stare of not wanting to exist on this planet anymore in an immediate way. So I would not want to put someone at risk by doing that. Now, if there's something you're looking at experiencing, because I've considered this myself, spiritually, like an ayahuasca ceremony. Now, in order for ayahuasca to work, for the MAOI inhibitors, that's monoamine oxidase inhibitors, which is part that makes the ayahuasca work from the Benesteri copy, and the brew and all that. So that's what gives it its makes it work. But in order for MAOI inhibitors are an old, I swear to God, I'm a walking like PDR at times of medication knowledge. MAOI inhibitors are an older class of really intense antidepressants. Whereas everything nowadays is like SSRI, the selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, or SNRIs, selective norepinephrine reuptake inhibitors. But the MAOI inhibitors have a laundry list of food and other restrictions and medical medicine restrictions that you cannot, like, you can't eat soft cheeses while or whatever, and so many different types of like fruits and vegetables and foods while you're on them, because of how it reacts in your stomach. So now, if you're going to an ayahuasca ceremony, like what you have to do before that is you kind of have to detox your system, and you have to go on the MAOI diet and avoid those foods, number one. And then you have to also stop taking your medications and things like that. But again, if that's something you're looking to do, plan ahead and talk to your medical professional about it. Because you don't want to end up in any kind of crisis or danger zone before doing that. So that's one of the other things. Now, to address the elephant in the room, because this is what that's been hitting me hard lately, is especially, this kind of goes a little bit hand in hand with the medication things, the excessive addiction and alcoholism. That's not something you want to emulate. You see it a lot in the community, and I've honestly had to step away from, I've had to end business partnerships and relationships. I've had to step away from friends and colleagues because I realized that I was being re-traumatized every single day by these people's behavior, because I lived with an active alcoholic and addict for 15 to 17 years we were together. Buried more people than I can shake a stick at this point, dealt with a lot of other addicts, and the worst of all is the enablers. And I've, if I see you and I've just quietly just went boop and unfriended and unfollowed a lot of people who are enabling this stuff and behavior, because it was re-traumatizing me. I have zero resentments towards my ex-husband. I have done a lot of healing work, but I obviously still have some more to go. But for me, it triggers a lot of anger and rage, and I was just in a constant state of agitation. And in order to take care of myself, I had to get the fuck away from that. So you can't solve your you can't solve any addiction and alcoholism issues with magic. I mean, again, you can use those things as ancillary to help you through it. But again, if you are thinking about quitting drugs or alcohol, please do it through go to rehab, go to an ER, go to rehab, detox properly, because this happened to a friend of mine's sister-in-law. in the day or two before she was going to go to rehab and detoxing at home, literally died on the couch. So it could be very dangerous to do that. So again, seek medical attention. It's addiction and alcoholism are very ugly diseases. And I know that, but I also know that I have to take care of myself. So that's my number one concern. I have to do what's best for me. And I can't put a price on that, or a price on my own dignity and self-respect, and have to walk away from some of those things. I'll be here if people should get their shit together, but for now, doors closed. And I would also advise against. Now, I partake in things, like I mentioned, I do ketamine for my treatment-resistant depression. Also, ketamine is great for, it also enhances spiritual experiences as well, as does things like psilocybin mushrooms, as does, LSD, various things like that. And there's a ton of sacred plant medicine, which is used a little more intentionally. It's not there to get you high as fuck and to trip balls as other things might necessarily be. But again, there's a danger in relying on that too much. You don't want to be doing mushrooms. Now there's microdosing, a little bit, and you're not going to be as out of your mind every single day if you're doing these things. But I mean, I know from the ketamine treatments, I had actually just did one Saturday, Sunday. What day is it? Monday. It was like Saturday night, maybe into Sunday morning. But I know for that is because psychedelics open up your neuroplasticity. It's not just during the time in which you're doing that medication. It's also for ketamine, it is your neuroplasticity is wide open for 3 to 7 days after it. So what that means is you're more subject to change, to incorporating new ideas into your life, to healing, to, if you're doing, any kind of trauma healing or work like that, you're just gonna be more receptive to working through those issues. So what will happen if you keep your brain in a permanent state of that neuroplastic openness is you're going to start getting some unpleasant side effects, probably some psychosis, erratic behavior. You're going to be host to all sorts of icky things going on up there. If someone wanted to try to brainwash you, would be not at all hard to do. So again, balance is key, and moderation. I'm not saying don't do these things, but I'm saying do them with intention. Do I need to be rolling on mushrooms every time I do a ritual? No. Do I need to do ketamine every time I want to make contact with the spirit world? No. So again, when it comes to the magical and the mundane, use your best judgment. If you need to seek medical attention for any reason, injuries, major illnesses, etc., do so. If you have medicines to take your medicines. If they need to be adjusted, work with your healthcare team, your mental health care team, whatever. That's what they're there for. Don't let magical practitioners tell you you'll have a better experience as a magician if you stop taking your medications, because that's a load of crap. Like, my sanity is not worth jeopardizing just so I can, be a cool badass magician or whatever. And what I've been trying to do in the Accessibility Magic series is to take these things and to give alternatives to what you can, how you can work on things in your own way. If you can't do it, I was going to pick up a book, but all I have is a pillow in front of me. If you can't do the ritual by the book, it's okay to make modifications that work for you. In an upcoming episode of the Accessibility Magic series, of tackling the subject of blood magic, because that might not work for everyone. Like if you have a history of cutting or, unaliving attempts and things like that of that nature, you might not want to be messing with blood magic, especially if it involves piercing the skin. So, and there's other things. If you're a hemophiliac, if you have other issues, or it's just not for you. So again, I'm trying to offer alternatives to things, to make everyone's practices work for them and be more accessible, because that's not something that is readily available all the time. I mean, there's some easy to do rituals and some authors that really do kind of have them written out very simplistically. And you can always adapt them, but I see a lot of people who do kind of, fear adapting it, or maybe not fear, but like it's in the book, so I have to do it like it's in the book, or it's not going to work. And the book is there to guide you, but you can do what works for you. Anyways, so be safe, make good decisions. And again, disclaimer, I am not a medical or mental health professional. These are just my opinions based on personal experience. So, yeah, I'm Jennifer. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to click like and subscribe, and I will talk to you later. Love y'all.